I am convinced that we are in an era of content abundance. Marketers everywhere have totally bought into the power of content marketing. And now with AI tools, it's even easier than ever to create content. So how can digital health companies and healthcare providers stand out when everyone can just click a button and create articles, social media posts, and even podcasts? Well, one way is to get media coverage, which means more focus on public relations. Yes, what I believe is that PR will become more and more important over the next couple of years. And my next guest is an expert in healthcare PR. She is someone I have admired from afar for a long time. Joining me on the program today is Jodi Amendola, founder of Amendola Communications. I'm excited to get her perspective on healthcare PR. Let's get to it.
Sway Health.
Jodi, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to finally talk to you, Colin. It's been a long time coming for sure.
It has indeed. I can't, we were just commenting. It is hard to fathom why it's taken us so long to get together and do this, but I'm glad we finally are, and I'm super excited to have the chance to chat with you today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you. Thank you.
So Jodi, just for the benefit of our audience who may not be as familiar with you as we are here at Sway, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, the work you do in healthcare PR, and of course about Amendola Communications?
Sure. You got it. Be happy to do that. I have been in healthcare tech, PR, and marketing for my entire career, so a little over 30 years, and have built an amazing agency with a senior level team of 25 folks, all who have grown up in healthcare, health tech. We are a full service agency that provides public relations and thought leadership programs, content marketing, everything from infographics to white papers, a lot of organic social media, primarily LinkedIn for our B2B audiences. And then we also do traditional marketing communications. So branding, messaging, collateral material development, website, but really in everything that we do, it's to help tell our clients stories, to help them promote their own brands and to reach their marketing and PR goals. So very often it's about growth. It's about strategic acquisition and good markets. Not necessarily today, it's an IPO. But we're very mission driven. So we're focused on improving healthcare. And after all, we are all patients.
We have run into many folks, over the years from Amendola, and they've all been fantastic to work with. They're very professional, I have to say that. And yes, when you say mission driven, I mean, most everyone we've run into has drank the healthcare Kool-Aid in the sense that they are driven by more than just getting an earned media story or telling the story of their clients. It's also about telling the story of healthcare. So I definitely want to say that about
Thank you.
your
Thank you
team.
so much. I would say, some of our big differentiators, besides the fact that we have a senior level team, is that we have deep knowledge in the space. And, this is all that we do. We focus 100% on this space. And we have great relationships with the industry media, industry analysts, digital influencers, and we leverage that for our clients. And our team is great because they come from different diverse backgrounds from both corporate and agency side, as well as journalists from like some of the top editorial brands. So we're very proud of ourselves. We've been in business for 21 years, and I know we're going to talk today or later about our next stage of growth, being part of Supreme. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, and that is some big news. That recently Amendola Communications is now part of Supreme Group, and congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
And yeah, we're going to dive into that more in a separate interview, link
Okay.
below for anyone who's listening or watching. But today, I wanted to tap into your wealth of knowledge and experience and expertise in healthcare PR.
Mhm.
So we're gonna let's jump right in, Jody. Can you
Sure.
share can you share with our audience and with me why it's more important than ever for companies that do business in healthcare to put more effort into their public relations?
Yes, yes, PR is definitely not dead. I can tell you that by the amount of queries that I'm getting and the repeat clients and the clients that we are generating PR and thought leadership for, because generating awareness in a crowded, noisy marketplace is more important now than ever, because there's so many people saying the same thing, and you want to be the one to dominate the narrative. You want to be the one to be part of the conversations. It's just exudes credibility, because folks know that it's not a sponsorship, right? It's not paid media, it's earned media. And it really helps as a door opener. After all of our clients today are looking to help drive sales. It's fueling the sales pipeline. And so PR is a big portion of that by generating awareness and helping to soften the sales cycle. And we can justify this because you can look at a company's web analytics and see on the days that we have an interview or a podcast or a thought leader article that's published, there's a spike in activity. And so, that's what you want. And we do use tools like Muckrack to measure share of voice and sentiment and can show the growth against their competitors over time.
Yeah, you brought up a bunch of things there. First of all, I think you've just coined a new term, Jody, Krause. So crowded and noisy market space. I think that's awesome. So
There you
I'm
go.
going to use that and attribute that to you. So that's cool. But
There you
no,
go.
I mean,
Thank you.
but you're so right. Like PR used to be seen as separate from the sales process and the
Can't
pipeline
be.
building.
It
But
can't be.
it's,
It has to be an
yeah,
integrated campaign approach. I mean, that's a big differentiator in today's marketplace, right? PR, marketing, social, media, digital, it all works in tandem. The
yeah.
clients
And
who
I,
have the most
Mhm.
success and better outcomes, and I'm sorry to interrupt,
No,
have that integrated campaign approach.
no, and you touched on another thing there too, in that we're in a world now of what I call content abundance, right? Like it's
Mm,
so easy for people to publish a blog, write some thought leadership on their own,
yes.
and because of that, you actually need PR to, I'll call it, prove that what you've
Mm,
written and when you say you're an expert, that you really are, because you can't, well, not easily anyway, fake being on someone else's podcast or
right.
fake being on an interview or on stage, right? And those are all things that PR helps with, because
Absolutely.
today anyone can write a blog, and
That's
literally
right.
you can't tell the difference with AI generating half the blogs out there. So, um,
Well, but you
yeah,
just brought up a good point with AI. Most often, when you publish in an editorial outlet, they use that checker. So you cannot submit something that is done with AI. It has to be written by an actual journalist.
right, right. Which all is to say, everything we've been talking about really means you've got to up your PR game, right, in order to
Level
really
up.
stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely.
So Jody, a lot has changed. We just mentioned AI, of course, but a lot has changed in overall in the healthcare media landscape over the last 5 years. Like we've seen a lot of legacy publications in our space get bought up and consolidated. At the
Yeah.
same time, we've seen an explosive growth of podcasts and other media channels.
Mhm.
In your opinion, is it harder to get media coverage today or easier?
Not easier. It's sometimes harder, but honestly, it's just different. When I used to do PR many years ago, we used to dial for dollars. We would spray and pray. Today, you have to be very focused, laser focused, and targeted. So, to your point, yes, there are fewer health tech pubs, but there are broader media outlets that are covering healthcare and health tech. So we can leverage those. And podcasts have been amazing. Clients love to actually tell their story rather than write their story. Plus, a great podcast can be amplified through LinkedIn, through e-newsletters, on your website. And remember, video content has increased linger times. So that approach can also improve your LinkedIn metrics. And if it's on your website, then it's more heavily weighted. So I think the two things that have changed are the contributed content, like you mentioned before, that a pro can write in place, and then the increased in podcasts.
Yeah, I found certainly podcasts have become all very popular, both in terms of companies have spun up their own in order to, and then attracted their own guests, but
Yep,
also executives being on more podcasts that are out there in general because there's more to choose from. Um,
absolutely. Yeah, it
uh,
widens the pool.
yeah, and I have to think that it's a little bit easier to get on podcasts nowadays because I think there are so many. I think people
Mhm.
want good guests, right? And so if you're a
Yes.
good guest, you can get on.
If you're
Um,
a good storyteller and you have a good story to tell, yes, absolutely.
but to your other point, um, with some of the larger outlets now covering healthcare, those are harder to get into, like Inc. and Forbes and CNN. They're covering healthcare because it is such an important part of the news cycle these days.
Yes.
But to attract a news organization of that size, I mean, you got to have something that moves the needle. Like,
You do. And typically it's a patient story. Those are the best. Certainly an end user, whether it's a physician or a hospital system. But, at the end of the day, most of those media outlets don't want to talk to a vendor. So you have to have the actual, a story, and data. Data is the other big thing that folks want to hear about.
yeah, I think that's the big piece that we always try to advise people. It's like, yes, I know that you signing this customer is great for you, or maybe
Yes.
signing this partnership is fantastic for you, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a mover. It's not a needle moving event in the
Ex-
healthcare space.
Exactly. Exactly. Everybody like loves to think what they're doing is amazing. Um, but yeah, it needs to be something really significant.
So given that, in your opinion, what do marketers and maybe executives as well need to do differently today to get media coverage? I mean, you mentioned before you used to dial for dollars, but now you have different methods. So what are the things that they must do differently to get coverage?
Yeah, so again, it's coming down to what is the story and how you tell that story. Again, very targeted to each audience. So you can't just send out the same pitch to every single editor. They have to be very customized to the individual outlet's target audience. What's going to resonate with them? What's going to solve their pain points? And then, as I mentioned, if you have a patient or a doctor or a hospital who's willing to speak about their experiences and how things were improved using XYZ technology, that's going to get higher recognition than just a vendor that's pitching themselves.
It sounds like Jody, you're recommending that PR people do their homework.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah,
And yeah, understanding the audience. I mean, it's no different than making a sales pitch, right? Like you got to
100%.
understand, right? You got to understand what will motivate the other, what the person on the other end of that email or phone call or tweet or LinkedIn DM to say,
Exactly.
you know what, I'm interested in this story.
That's right. Yep. It has to be compelling. It has to resonate, and educate.
So I have to ask this. I mean, does email stories still work? I mean, is
Yeah.
that still the main method, or have you
So that's
found
a
more?
great question. Yes. So I think primarily we do a lot of emails, but we also reach folks via direct message, text. I mean, you'd be surprised how much gets communicated via social media channels. So it's all of the above. It's different. I mean, I can remember back in the day, and I guess I'm going to date myself, but I used to actually pick up the phone and call editors, and we had that relationship going. But now everybody's so busy, and everything's done in real time. And so, yes, email, and sometimes, there's Slack channels. There's so much technology out there. It's changing every day.
Well, actually, you struck on something there. relationships with editors, is that still a thing? Like, is that still something that makes a
It
difference in the PR world?
it definitely is. I can tell you that we have editors that consistently come to us on a regular basis because they know that we represent 50, 60 clients at any given time and can sew up a story for them. So even if we don't have a client that does exactly what they need, we'll go find a past client, somebody we know, whatever, to keep that relationship going, to make their lives easier. Likewise, if they just come to us because they're doing a specific story on XYZ and they need 3 sources, we usually can just, get them that very quickly. So yes, it still is a thing, but you still have to, at the end of the day, have a good story to tell. We can't just feed them stuff because, we have a relationship. You're not going to run that. It has to be good stuff.
How have you created these relationships in this digital first world? I mean, again, I'm
Yeah.
from the same era as you. Like, we used to pick up the phone, we used to shake hands all the time, but
Yeah.
nowadays that's not necessary to have a relationship. So, what are some of the other ways you can build a relationship with an editor rather than just in person?
Yeah, well, I mean, we do see editors at trade shows, right? Hims, Health, Vibe, the big shows. So that's one way to make those connections. But again, just like we said, through ongoing email exchanges and social media exchanges, and giving them, honestly, the number one thing is giving them what they need to meet their deadlines and have good stories. That's the number one. Being reliable.
Jody, is there anything you would recommend PR professionals stop doing right now?
Um, That's a good question. Yeah, I guess the spray and pray, right? I mean, it's very annoying to just get an email that's not targeted, that doesn't make any sense for that audience. So I would say keeping it very, very focused would typically be what I would recommend.
Yeah, and at the risk of making this interview too much about me, yes, I would I would 100% agree with you because it is so easy to tell when we get that form letter or form
Yeah,
email where it's just like you've sprayed this to 1,000 other outlets, and you
especially if
haven't.
they don't even like personalize it with your name, right? I mean, if yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't get you very far. Let me put it that way.
it
That's for
doesn't. I
sure.
mean, we really spend a lot of time in developing the right media list for each pitch or each press release or each article, and then sending it as appropriate with a very personalized note that, again, solves their pain point, their challenge, or what their audience would be interested in. Again, it goes back to that creative storytelling, leveraging the information that you have at your fingertips that will make you stand out, whether that's data or patient or user.
So, Jody, if I was a company executive that was a little skeptical about the ROI of PR, what
Mm,
would you say to me to convince me to loosen up the purse strings a little?
yeah, we do get that, especially the last couple of years where I would say the healthcare IT audience has become very cautious. So typically we focus in on the things that we've been talking about today, the importance of a fully integrated program with PR as a important part of the program, because honestly, if they don't do it, their competitors will, and then their competitors will maintain that higher share of voice, and that's who their prospects may lean towards when they're trying to make a buying decision. So you want to be out there in multiple ways. And that's why it's great to be out there and tell your story through a variety of thought leadership mechanisms. And PR is, just great for that because it's not limited, right? Like if you go to buy an ad with a sponsorship, that's one outlet or two outlets. But with PR, you can send out a press release and get a hit in 50 outlets. So there still is a lot of value to PR.
So, Jody, let me ask you this question. Do you have maybe 3 tips you can share quickly with us on things that you should or shouldn't include in your pitch to an editor to get your story covered?
So you always want to include the who, what, when, where, why. whether it's a pitch, a press release, an article, right? That's like back to basics. And so when you're pitching an editor, you want to be concise and succinct and just get them the information that they need to make a decision right away. Remember, they're getting probably hundreds of pitches a day. What's going to make yours stand out? So tell them right up front what it is.
Jodi, you've shared a lot of great information with us today. Where can people go to learn more about Amendola Communications?
Well, they can visit our website. It's acmarketingpr.com. And all of our emails are first initial, last name. So mine's J Amendola at acmarketingpr.com. You can also follow me or direct message me on LinkedIn.
Well, Jodi, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been wonderful to finally have you on the program.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been great talking to you, Colin. I've enjoyed it and really appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, I really appreciate Jodi for taking time out of her busy day to be on the program and for sharing her insights, tips, and strategies on healthcare PR. I loved her suggestion about ending the practice of spray and pray PR. That hasn't worked for the last 5 years, and yet still so many people stick to it. Connecting via social media and in person with editors is definitely the way to go. Now, if you enjoyed this interview, please mash that like button and click subscribe. Also, head over to Sway Health, that's Sway with 2 A's, .health, where you will find more great content like this. I'm Colin Hung. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch you on the next episode.